Mr. Chair, ladies and gentlemen, my name is Charles King. I'm 72 years old and through no fault of my own homeless. And I'm fortunate and I get to stay at the shelter here at St. Mary's. My face is just one face, but you all realize that there's 1.3 million other faces that I'm representing here. And all I want to do is thank you for your compassion.
Thank you, Mr. King.
Thank you so much. My name is Janie Castillo. I'm the Hope and Justice Coordinator for St. Mary's Center. I'm also one of your Facebook friends, Mr. Assemblymember. And I'm so proud of the work that you are doing. I'm sure you have one of many. I think one of the things that has not been mentioned here is that this is going to cost us $1.something million. And I heard that, and I want you to consider that's going to be a shot in the arm of our local communities, because as you can see, our people will buy food with it. Right? Our people will shop in the stores and do what they can. And so it's just like this ricochet effect into our economy. So this is a win-win for all of us if we just do the right thing and increase quality of life for our folks. Lastly, I'm also a resident commissioner of the Oakland Housing Authority, and we serve over 33,000 families using the subsidies that we have. And across the nation, we know that our subsidies are drying up, and in California, thank you very much. If we were to raise the COLA, we might have to raise rents a little bit, but that would also stretch our dollars more, our subsidies dollars more, and I'm concluding, and that would mean putting more of our people in homes that need affordable housing. So thank you so much for doing the right thing, Assembly Member.
Thank you, Ms. Castillo, for your years of leadership, leading in the Berkeley organizations in these areas, and for your new role, and for your friendship on Facebook. And for your advocacy. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Chair and Assembly members. My name is Shanti Prasad. I'm a community organizer for Alameda County Community Food Bank, and I'm also here on behalf of Californians for SSI. You know the statistics. I'm just here to tell one story about a woman who couldn't be here today, who I met 2 weeks ago, who is on SSI. She was at Downs Memorial Church in Oakland getting a hot meal when we were collecting stories, and I asked her to tell me hers. And she's homeless, living in her car with her dog. And one of the things that stood out that she told me is that she's afraid because she doesn't even know where to go to the bathroom. People might attack her. People will call the police on her because she's parked on their block. And she looked me in the face with her tears and eyes and with the stress of poverty and homelessness and the trauma in her face, and said, "Should I just die? Is that what they want?" And I didn't really know how to answer her. So please do something for the 1.3 million people on SSI so that I can go back and tell her that we got her something more. Thank you.
Thank you.
Assembly Member, may I translate for?
Please.
Hi, my name is Irma Castro. She translates for me.
Eso fue inglés, mami.
Well, my name is Irma Castro. I lost my husband and me lost the home 4 or 5 years ago, and my husband was a hard worker. And I'm in permanent disability for 67 years ago. I don't receive help for nothing. Now my husband and we live and sleep in a car over the streets. And now we stay in St. Mary's
Center Emergency Shelter.
Yeah. I ask you if you is possible help at the community, all the people, millions of people, thousands of people, same to me, same to my husband, same for to me, a lot of people. We need it. Thank you for listening to me.
Thank you. Gracias por sus palabras.
Thank you.
Qué buen acento. Okay, my name is Sandra Mack. I am with the San Francisco CATA, the California Alliance for Retired Americans, an organization that has members in Humboldt and Placerville down to San Diego. I can't say anything south of San Diego, but it goes all over the state. And you've heard about why we need to restore the cuts. So I won't say anything about that. You know that. I would like to address 2 points. One is you heard several people talk about the recession. And some people are thinking, what recession? Isn't that recession over? I would like to point out to you that between 1993 and 2012, all of the aggregate income growth from 1993 to 2012 went to the top 1% of Americans. For many people, that recession is still going on. That's why they're still talking about it. Second thing I'd like to bring to your attention is that how to pay for it. How to pay for these increases that you know are necessary. I would point out to you, this is your opportunity, the people on this committee, to share with other people in the legislature and to share with the governor what the people of California already know. The people of California get it. They passed Proposition 30 because they got it. People are passing minimum wage laws because they get it.
Comments, please.
So share with everyone else. Doing the right thing is the politically right thing to do because the people get it.
Thank you.
Hi, my name is Alan Craig. I'm from San Francisco, and I just want to echo the support what people have been proposing, and they've said it much more eloquent than I could, so I'll just leave it at that.
Thank you.
Hi, my name is Sid Ipsy. Good afternoon. I'm a member of CARA, is the California Partnership. California Alliance for Retired Americans support the enhancement of the SSI benefit for the senior and person with disabilities. You're in San Francisco, difficult to live with the high standard of living. Tear down the wall of poverty. Tear down the wall of poverty. That's it.
Thank you.
Afternoon. Thank you so much, Chair Thurman, for today's hearing. Thank you for your surprising and excellent and aggressive leadership in the earlier part of the hearing around the 7% not being tied to the tax. Really appreciate that. And talking about the overtime work. You've heard all the stories of folks from SSI. Pete Wyworty from the California Partnership. We worked with the Californians for SSI to bring many of the folks up to you today. This will not be a surprise to you, but other members of the committee, et cetera. You've heard why, now where the money is going to come from. It's in the governor's extended budget on prisons this year. It's in the tax breaks that were given to Boeing and other giant corporations last year. It's in the $1 billion that just showed up yesterday in the newspaper with the expanded revenues month after month after month. It's in every month when the governor, each time the governor has had an opportunity in the last 2 years, he's undersold how much money is available as a political ploy to pit the legislature to undersell what California actually needs. So we're proud of you. We're excited about today's events. We're looking forward to the next time you step up and move quickly to expand SSI, install the COLA, and get us above poverty. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good afternoon. My name is Carol Moss, and I'm a member of CARA, but I'm here right now to give you a personal story. I have a neighbor whose name is Sarah, and she's a 78-year-old female. One day I was at the park in our neighborhood, and I saw her, and she was going through the trash can. And I said to her, "Did you lose something? Can I help you?" She said no, she was looking for something to eat. And that the people who eat lunch there often leave a nice lunch, so she has some nice food to eat. I find that appalling. What if this were your mother? How would you feel? We have to give people their pride and dignity back and treat them as in an inhumane way as possible. Tear down the wall of poverty. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hi, my name is Robert Copeland. I'm from Dogfight, which is part of the CA for SSI Coalition. I want to say we're hearing all these revenues above projections that we're getting in California. Where's ours? You need to help the least amount, at least the poor people, not just the rich people in California. Thank you.
Thank you. I'd like to thank all the speakers for your public comment. This is obviously a very emotional issue, and I appreciate the personal stories, and it resonates. We hear you. You know, growing up, I think we were on just about every public assistance program that you can think of. Food stamps, free lunch program, free cheese. I can remember many nights when we didn't know what we were going to eat. But I was blessed, and I had many people step in to help. I always had a roof over my head, and there was never a time that I went hungry. And I say that just to say that we hear you. And let me just say that your statements were very eloquent. We hear you, and there are others outside these walls who are hearing you as you speak. And your advocacy is compelling. And beyond any emotional testimony, you made the fact. It's a fact. If 58 counties have SSI, SSP recipients who spend more than half of their benefit on rent, 15 counties spend their entire benefit on rent. We've got work to do. And that this committee has taken notice and is on record in support of your cry for restoration and a COLA and support for all Californians. Thank you for your testimony.
Wow. Thank you.
I do want to take one moment of personal privilege. We heard today from someone from the LAO's office, Ms. Kesawani, who I haven't had a chance to work with very often, but I understand that this is her final hearing with us, and she is moving on to a new endeavor, and we want to thank you for taking up the people's work, particularly in the areas of health and human services, and wish you well. Thank you very much for your work before this committee. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, very much.
You can clap this time. We're going to violate the rule. Thank you. We're going to move on to issue number 5, Adult Protective Services Training Proposal. I'd ask our panelists to come forward. Christina Cotton from the Alameda County Social Services Agency. We will have representatives from the Department of Finance and some reaction from the remarks from the Department of Social Services, and then public comment.
Whatever you want. I'm happy to move.
Thank you.
Ms. Cotton?
Hi.
Whenever you are ready, we're ready.
Okay. Can you hear me okay?
We can.
Okay. So good afternoon. My name is Christina Cotton. I'm an APS supervisor with Alameda County. In 2006, as a fresh new Master's of Social Work graduate, I was excited to land a job working for Contra Costa Social Services Agency as a child welfare worker, where I received the most valuable training of all, a 2-month-long induction training where I received in-depth practical, functional, and philosophical training on child abuse. Shifting my social work career trajectory in 2010 toward working with the adult and aging populations was an exciting yet intimidating transition. My biggest task was to learn about the population I was serving, their strengths and challenges, and the protection issues that arise for the aged and disabled. I was shocked and saddened to discover that there was no formal training structure for APS workers equivalent to or even a shadow of what is mandatory for child welfare workers. Nevertheless, I participated in every training opportunity that I could find on my own accord, which is primarily on-the-job training. I was lucky to be able to pull from my investigative training from my time with child welfare, but certainly did not have the tools necessary to address the very specific needs of and challenges facing elders. In my current role as APS supervisor, I am responsible for training new APS social workers. I do the best that I can with the limited time and training resources that I have. I often ask myself, will they be able to recognize symptoms of dementia? Will they be able to identify elder abuse and uncover evidence to help law enforcement prove and prosecute the abuser? Will new workers know what to do in a crisis and be able to save a life? I have the privilege of working with dedicated, capable, and caring social workers who want to be effective and skilled at their job. They have preserved assets in the millions, built bridges with community members, and have saved lives despite the lack of formal and structured training. I see the limitations workers face without the benefit of training similar to child welfare worker training, yet APS work is just as valuable and just as meaningful. The elder population is growing at a dramatic rate, and perpetrators are becoming more sophisticated. When an elder loses their life savings, taxpayers bear the expense. This proposal will ensure that all new APS social workers have the access to a robust training and will also provide supervisors like myself the tools and training that we need to support our staff. This will enable APS to better protect seniors and dependent adults who are victims of abuse, neglect, and exploitation. So please support the $5 million request by the California Commission on Aging, California Elder Justice Coalition, and CWDA. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, Ms. Catton. Ms. Carroll, did you wish to respond?
I think APS training has suffered dramatically through the years. We have $186,000 a year to put towards training statewide, and that's been since 1998. There is a need. And I think this proposal does reflect some of that. It's also part of some of the similar issues about priorities that are going on and need to be looked at and discussed.
Thank you. Is there anything from finance?
This is a proposal that we have recently got a hold of, so we're still reviewing and we'll be looking at the finer details of the proposal. But aside from that, we have no comment at this time.
Thank you. We have speakers. I'd like to hear from the public comment.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Frank Mecca with the County Welfare Directors Association. I'm also here today on behalf of the California State Association of Counties, whose lobbyist is in another hearing. We're pleased to co-sponsor the request. I just think, as you think about the lines of people who testified before you today on IHSS and SSI, what we know is the ranks of the aged are growing. Your agenda does a really good job of pointing that out. Aged and disabled people are so susceptible to being victimized. Elder abuse is a shame. People don't want to admit that it exists, but it does. And for many people, the Adult Protective Services Program is the only thing that can intervene and stop the abuse. We have a huge increase in demand for our services. The service is the worker. And we don't have anything else other than a highly trained worker that can go into a home, intervene, investigate, get the victim out of harm's way, try to preserve their assets, try to broker some services so that the people can remain to live independently and not in costly institutionalization. And as your agenda points out and the speakers pointed out, it's sort of objectively the case that $188,000 total to train the workers that are protecting some of the most vulnerable people in our state is woeful. And so we strongly support this augmentation, and we hope that it will survive the budget, and we ask for the support of the administration as well.
Good afternoon. My name is Jill Nielsen. I am the Program Director for Adult Protective Services for the City and County of San Francisco. San Francisco has fewer than 900,000 citizens, and in spite of our relative small size, we received almost 6,500 reports of abuse and neglect of dependent adults and elders in 2014. In fact, we received more reports than our colleagues in child welfare. Not only are reports in California growing, but the complexity of the reports is increasing. It is a daunting task, even for well-resourced APS programs, to train an APS worker, not to mention many of our counties in California that have APS programs that might be made up of a small handful of staff, many of those staff that might actually be carrying out functions for APS as well as in-home supportive services. APS casework is not straightforward. It's not an eligibility program.
The problems that we face are not solvable, seemingly. We need training. We need the support and the infrastructure that should be provided by California so that APS workers can provide consistent and quality services. I have worked for the past decade in adult protective services. This is a vital program that can make a difference. It can make a difference in the safety net. We have the potential to save many of our public sector departments money, but we need to have well-trained staff. It will make all the difference. Please consider making an investment in adult protective services. It's time to professionalize our APS program. Thank you.
Thank you.
Rebecca Gonzalez, National Association of Social Workers, California chapter. We also support this proposal. This is a very underfunded program and a very modest proposal. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good afternoon. I'm Lisa Coleman, the Executive Director for the California Long-Term Care Ombudsman Association. I want to thank this committee for agendizing this item. When APS workers lack proper training, seniors suffer. And I can bring many examples from local ombudsman programs where seniors did not have ready access to APS workers, and so little problems became big problems. Those big problems translate into big costs for the state of California when seniors are having to move into skilled nursing facilities on Medi-Cal. So this is one of those examples where an ounce of prevention is worth a pound of cure. So we ask that you say yes, that we move this forward and continue to support elder abuse funding in California. Thank you.
Thank you.
Chairman Thurmond, Carol Sewell from the California Commission on Aging. We are pleased to again co-sponsor this request, similar to a request that we co-sponsored last year. Training for APS workers is vital and complex. The range of abuses that elders face go beyond the physical. Neglect is insidious in some situations. There are ranges of financial exploitation and other forms of exploitation that are not easily recognized. And it's critical that our APS workers have access to the training and the resources they need to understand what they're seeing when they go into a home and to really help. So we appreciate your consideration and we ask for your support for this. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yes, Mr. Chairman, Darrell Kelch with the California Association of Area Agencies on Aging. Part of our request that was before your subcommittee last Monday included the dollars for APS as well as ombudsman. The only thing I can say, maybe a little bit different than the people who have spoken before, is I think you need to understand how dependent a lot of these programs are on each other at the local level. You know, area agencies on aging are responsible for reaching out and serving the older people. Well, part of that is protecting them from elder abuse or responding when there's a call. Then we're dependent upon these programs like APS and the Ombudsman program. So I think as you're sitting there considering that you think maybe you're getting multiple requests on some of these services are very dependent upon each other, and we do need to support them all. Thank you.
Thank you. Wanted to ask a few questions about the training proposal. Is it the sort of thing where when staff get trained, they are able to do turnaround trainings or to also help train their peers within the department?
I would defer to, I would defer to Frank with the CWDA.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. The model that the budget is based on, the budget proposal is based on, is the model on child welfare, and it's actually classroom training. There might be some, once a worker is trained and gets the training, there might be refresher trainings or enhanced training for additional subject matters that are on the train the trainer, kind of the train the trainer model that you just described. But the initial training we think is really important as a kind of a butt in the seat classroom training.
Sure, and I think the training is completely worth it. I mean, I started my career doing two things: child protective services and visiting homebound seniors, and everything that you all described about the kind of, sadly, the kind of abuse, neglect, and mistreatment that seniors experience. Sadly, I saw firsthand, and I think this training is absolutely needed. There's no question of that. I'm just simply trying to think about how to maximize the expenditures that are requested, and if there was a way to do turnaround training, I think that's helpful. But I get it. It sounds like, at least initially, each participant needs to be in the classroom to experience the training from a certified trainer. So I get that. And my only other question is about cost savings, not about cost for the training. I think that this is a very small cost for the reward that it will yield in terms of prevention and helping to prevent elders and disabled and others from being abused. But do you have any figures? Can you quantify that? And I'm just being honest so that we can make arguments and say that this is an investment that we need to make. I want to be able to say to the governor and to others that this is the real savings, this is the real investment of this training, and this is the real cost for not doing it. I want to be able to say it in those kinds of terms. Do you have any figures for me?
If I could, Mr. Chairman,
yes.
There have been individual counties that have tallied up the amount of assets that they've preserved that we could provide to the committee. Assets preserved, money spent in the community, there's economic activity. The human benefits are harder to quantify, but there is research out there about the extent to which financial abuse intervention preserves assets for seniors and then decreases the reliance on government assistance for other things. We'll compile all that information and provide it to the committee.
Thank you, Mr. Mack. I know you brought other information to my office. If you would provide for the committee and for the governor and for the department any data that we can show on what the cost of not providing this training is in terms of cases of abuse that could have been prevented, any metrics that we can provide in terms of the full cost of not investing in this training, as well as being able to point to the total benefit, however we can put that in a metric, the total benefit to doing this training, savings to other systems, keeping seniors and others out of institutional care, and certainly preserving life.
Absolutely.
Appreciate it. This is our final agenda item. We will be leaving the agenda open for Assemblymember Grove, who will be returning for previous items heard in this committee. For now, we are adjourned.